Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, in the trend of basically breaking down all the things that we've seen so far, I decided I'd go back through and basically pull out all the screen caps of the skill windows that they showed and all the footage so far, and let's talk about all the skills that are in the game. So this might help you, get your builds ready or some build ideas. They did sort of glaze over them really quickly in the videos, so I thought I'd slow this down, talk it through. There's about 9 screen caps that I have so far that I managed to pull out from, I think, 3 hours of footage. And yeah, anyway, let's have a look at it. And let's have a look at the different skills that are available on the EA release. And don't forget to like and sub to the channel as well. It helps give me an idea of what to create and put forwards. And yeah, anyway, it just supports the channel as an overall. Let's get into the video. Okay, so the first lot of skills off the rank here are the quarterstaff skills. So by the way, just looking at the skill windows too, so essentially you've got your all gems configuration, which pulls everything up. Then you've got your quarterstaff skills. Now we'll go through them very soon, but the same window applies to buff skills and support gems. We won't cover off on support gems as part of this video, but we will go through the buff gems, which are essentially the same as the old aura gems. They're just called a new name. So we no longer call them auras, we call them buffs. So essentially, quarterstaff skills. These are the skills that are most likely going to predominantly be used on the monk, but none of these skills are locked to any particular classes as they've called out. So we have Falling Thunder, Glacial Cascade, which we've seen in the gameplay footage, Killing Palm, Frozen Locust, not too sure what that is yet, Staggering Palm, which is obviously a wind skill, Tempest Bell, which, let's be honest, we're all going to play that skill, it's awesome. Vaulting Impact, which is a skill that we can see when basically the character is like swooping forwards and hitting the enemy. We've got Wind Blast, which looks awesome. Ice Strike, which again, awesome. Tempest Flurry, this is probably something very similar to like Lightning Strike that I could sort of make out, and potentially Siphoning Strike's very similar again. We've got Wave of Frost, Storm Wave, Freezing Mark, Charge Staff, Mantra of Destruction, which we haven't yet seen, Hand of Chayula, which is going to be something synergistic with like Dark Monk players, for example. And then we've got Whirling Assault, Shattering Palm, and the very last one, interestingly, and most likely the most powerful skill of them all, arguably at this stage, is Flicker Strike at the very bottom of the skill list. Okay, so the next series of skills are buff skills. Now, these operate very similar to auras, but in this game, it's a little bit different, and yeah, it just totally works differently. So, from my understanding with Path of Exile 2, they're really moving away from aura skills and they're going for like active defense skills, reactionary skills, and or skills that you have a lot more control of, or skills that have an interaction. That's actually not a bad thing. Aura skills really hindered the game in Path of Exile 1. We basically just really focused on stacking auras at the end of the day, and to no avail because, basically everybody got out the gate with like Determination, which was extra armor, or Grace, which was extra evasion, or Hatred, for example. So it really sort of hindered a lot of builds and made mana management an absolute nightmare. From what I can see with the skills as far as the buff skills in Path of Exile 2, is they are more like you either have to trigger them or they have some sort of effect, but they're not like straight up like auras, except for a few, and we'll talk about those as we go down the list. So we start off Arctic Armor. What we understand about this, and I actually tried this at ExileCon last year, is it reacts to taking incoming damage from enemies. So it's a very much reactionary skill. Ghost Dance, which I assume is something very similar to increasing your evasion, or like, some sort of like, it'd be like an evasion buff at the end of the day. Grim Feast, we've got, which I would assume would be a Necromancer or a Witch skill, sorry. Herald of Ash is actually like a proper aura skill, but it's like a low reservation aura skill, which gives you extra fire damage. Herald of Ice, same sort of situation. This is like a skill that gives you increased ice damage, and the same with Herald of Thunder. Mana Remnants, I'm not too sure what this skill is yet. Magma Barrier would be very similar to the old Molten Shell, and Plague Bearer is basically like poison. You charge up your stacks of Plague Bearer and then you unleash it when you run around, is my take on how the skill would work. Raging Spirits, we've confirmed, triggers when you actually cast a fire spell moving forwards, and then Raging Spirits come out and just automatically attack things, so they reserve Spirit now in Path of Exile 2. Scavenged Plating appears to be probably something very similar to like the old determination sort of skills. So this is probably very much something that will give you like flat armor or something of that nature. Wind Dancer was actually a node that was in the Path of Exile 1 Atlas tree, or skill tree, sorry. And so this is essentially an evasion skill. War Banner as well, increase your accuracy and flat damage. And Withering Presence is probably something very similar to Withering Step for those of you who have played Path of Exile 1. Now, Blasphemy. Blasphemy allowed you to apply curses as aura effects to enemies around you, and it very likely operates very similarly in Path of Exile 2. Barrier of Invocation. Not too sure what this could actually be. It could be like Frost Shield, but it looks like it's something very lightning based. Then we've also got the meta skill gems of Cast on Shock, Cast on Freeze, and Cast on Ignite. So in Path of Exile 2, when you cap out your, cap of like Ignite or Freeze or something like that on an enemy, this will then trigger these skills. This was sort of spoken about in the release video, but they haven't really done a lot to explain this in great depth yet. Cast on Minion Death. This is very similar to the Helm that was going around in Path of Exile 1. And so, you know, this could very well be pretty cool at the end of the day, because you could have like an army of exploding minions as opposed to using minions to do damage. In particular, zombies and super zombies would be really cool with this. Combat Frenzy would be like your, potentially your Rage Generation or Blood Rage from Path of Exile 1. Defiance Banner was usually like Spell Suppression, so this could have something very similar to like Spell Suppression or equivalent stat. Elemental Invocation, again, not entirely sure what this is, and Herald of Plague is most likely Herald of Agony. Now the question will be, can we have Agony Crawlers in Path of Exile 2? I'm not entirely sure, but it'll be interesting to find out. Lingering Illusion, this could be a modifier to your dodge roll, but I'm not sure about this. An Overwhelming Presence could be like Pride or something of that nature from Path of Exile 1, so you do increase physical damage to enemies. But until we get the information about these skills, we won't know what they are entirely. All I can really do is speculate based on Path of Exile 1, but overall they look really cool either way. Okay, so now for the Mace Skills, obviously, which is my favorite class, the Warrior's skill set. Yes! Sorry guys, I needed to use that meme. I've been waiting to use it for ages. Okay, so with Mace Skills, we've got obviously Earthquake, which is one of the earlier skills. Bone Shatter is back in the game, so we will be playing some classic Bone Zone at some point. Now, I don't believe Trauma's made it back into the game, but we'll see how it goes. Rolling Slam we've seen a lot as a mobility skill used by the Warrior class, so it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. Shield Charge is one of the skills that I want to use early on, because basically you can 100% block when you shield charge into enemies. Armor Breaker as well is going to be pretty significant in cracking armor to then basically smash enemies even harder. Shockwave Totems you get early on. Infernal Cry as well, which does added fire damage or, you know, fire impact to enemies around you. Perfect Strike, haven't really seen much about this. Resonating Shield is where you basically bash your shield and you know, you can do the math there, then it sends out a shockwave. This synergizes with, where is it? Shield Wall down here, which funnily enough looks very similar to the icon that was the old Shield Crush skill. Now we've also got Leap Slam and Earth Shadow, which are pretty much givens. Thunder as well. Volcanic Fissure, which is the one where you slam the ground, it puts up the fissure, and then as you hit it with other hits or slams, it then activates the fissure again. We've got Seismic Cry, which increases AoE and also does physical damage to enemies around you. Supercharged Slam, which is a charge up skill or channeling skill. Stampede, which counts as a slam. Now we've got Ancestral Warrior Totems, and then Hammer of the Gods, which is pretty much the skill I'm looking forward to using the most out of every skill in Path of Exile 2 so far. For the elemental skills out there, in particular, this will be the Sorcerer skills initially. We've got Ice Novas back in the game. Spark, so Anime Princess is most likely going to be looking at Spark. We've got Frost Bomb, Flame Wall, Orb of Storms, which was in the game previously. Frost Bolt has returned to the game. Ember Fusillade, which basically is something I'm really interested in. That could be a really cool skill. Arc has made it back. Incinerate, so I'll be looking at basically recreating my Incinerate build from Path of Exile 1, and that's probably going to be on the Infernus class? Infernum class? Anyway, we're going to be basically running Incinerate. This is essentially a channeling skill. You hold it down on the enemy, so Cast on Ignite and things like that are going to be really good. Solar Orb, which is a new skill to the game. Cold Snap, which was in Path of Exile 1, but it'll be interesting to see how it's been done in Path of Exile 2. Then we've got our curses, so flammability, hypothermia, conductivity. Previously, this wasn't called, I believe it wasn't called hypothermia, maybe it was. Anyway, this used to be a support gem in Path of Exile 1. Then we've got Frostwall, Lightning Warp, Mana Tempest, and Fireball. Bearing in mind, Frostwalls can now be exploded. We've got Firestorm returning with Ball Lightning is also returning. Comet, which is just going to be totally satisfying, is an ice skill. Then we have Temporal Chains, which was out of Path of Exile 1, slows enemies down around you. Flame Blast, which used to be a channeling skill. So it'll be interesting to see if we can do pizza skills again. Basically, it channels into a big circle and you blow the whole screen up. Then we've got Eye of Winter. So potentially, if we can use Eye of Winter in mines again, that could be a thing all over again. And then Lightning Conduit. And it'd be really interesting if it requires you to shock enemies first, or if they just let you cast lightning without having to shock enemies. Though it would be easier to shock enemies in Path of Exile 2, because you're going to have to chain that with other skills to get to this skill to actually be functional. Now, for the Occult Skills, or the Witch Skills, these are like your minion summoning skills sort of things. So we've got Contagion, Skeletal Warrior, Skeletal Sniper, Unearth. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Enfeeble, which basically decreases the amount of damage that enemies inflict upon you that are near you in your vicinity, if it works the same as Path of Exile 1. Essence Drain, which essentially was in Path of Exile 1 as a Chaos skill. Skeletal Arsonist, and someone's going to have a go at me for saying skeletal and skeletal in the same video. We've got Bone Cage, Raised Zombie. So zombies are now temporary minions in Path of Exile as opposed to what they used to be in PoE 1. We've got Skeletal Frost Mage. We've got Pain Offering, which sacrifices your skeletons to do increased damage. We've got Bone Storm, which is what we saw in a lot of the gameplay already. Detonate Dead is returning to the game, so they haven't said whether or not this is based on percentage health of corpses. Most likely not, though. That was one of the biggest problems with it in Path of Exile 1, so it makes sense if they got rid of it in Path of Exile 2 to work like that. Then we've got Vulnerability, which increases the amount of inbound damage taken to enemies. Bind Spectre, which is our Pokemon gem. Gem. We've got Profane Ritual. Despair is being added to the game. In the past, this allowed you to do increased amounts of chaos damage to enemies. Skeletal Reaver, which would be more like a heavy attack sort of skeleton. Dark Effigy. We've got Bone Offering. Skeletal Storm Mage, which is going to be really cool. We've got Hex Blast. Skeleton Brute. So if you've played Val Skeletons out of Path of Exile 1, basically the Brute's the big skeleton that you spawn with you know, the sort of similar sort of nature with Val Skeleton. Then we've got Skeletal Cleric, which is a healing skeleton, and then Soul Offering. Okay, so for the mercenary players out there, we've got explosive grenades, so grenade launcher build. We've got fragmentation rounds, which is shotgun. We've got armor piercing rounds, which is sniper. We've got permafrost bolts. We've got flash grenades, because, you know, when you want to play Call of Duty, you've got to be able to grief the enemy enough with flash grenades. We've got high velocity rounds, which is basically like FMJ sort of stuff. We've got incendiary, or dragon's breath as I like to call it. As you can tell, I've played a lot of Call of Duty. Gas grenades, we've got rapid shot, aka the Judge Dredd ability. We've got ice shards, galvanic shards. That used to be a little bit different. Used to be like galvanic arrow in Path of Exile 1. We've got ripwire, which ballista, which may also be tripwire, and this could just be a spelling error, I'm not too sure. We've got voltaxic grenade, so this was actually a skill that was a spell skill in Path of Exile 1. Then we've got explosive shot, glacial bolt, artillery ballista, oil grenade, storm blast bolts, hailstorm rounds, sounds freaking awesome, shock burst rounds, emergency reload, which is probably something you're going to want to run in most of your builds, siege cascade, plasma blast, which is railgun blast basically, and then or BFG potentially, and then cluster grenades, which is pretty damn cool. Okay, so for the archery skills, or bow skills, sorry, we've got Lightning Arrow for you degenerates out there that like Lightning Arrow, it's returned. We've got Escape Shot, which we've seen a lot in the gameplay footage, Poison Burst Arrow, Lightning Rod, Stormcaller's Arrow, Snipe, Vine Arrow, we've got Barrage, Toxic Growth, and so a combination of Vine Arrow and Toxic Growth is basically the old Toxic Rain configuration, just split over 2 gems. Executing Arrow, Sniper's Mark, which obviously in the past it used to increase the number of projectiles on hit and or damage, so I would assume this is going to be pretty much the go-to for Mark skills for Path of Exile 2. Gas Arrow, Voltaxic Mark, Rain of Arrows, so Fuzzy Duxie, you'll be able to recreate the Rain of Arrows build in Path of Exile 2. Detonating arrow, ice shot. We've also got shock chain arrow and tornado shot. Okay, so far you'll also notice that we haven't really had certain skills revealed to us. So we haven't seen primal, flail, axe. We haven't even seen sword skills, which is really interesting. We haven't seen spear skills, nor have we seen dagger skills yet. These are all things that could be really interesting. I'm hoping that there's some things in the game already. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see until the EA. We may not get sword skills. It'd be really weird if we didn't get sword skills. But you know, you never know. There's more to come, and it is an early access at the end of the day. Okay, so that's basically everything we've seen so far as the skill reveals go. Now, if you are looking for a place where you can talk to people about it or suggest ideas of builds and stuff like that, we do have a channel in our Discord for the Filthy Exile Discord, and anybody is welcome to join that. The link's in the description below. And yeah, you can talk and, you know, shoot the shit and come up with build ideas and things like that. But also the screenshots posted here will all be posted there, and I'll put links to them in the description below so you can see them as well. But yeah, anyway, until next time, well, I should probably say, don't forget to like and sub to the channel. There's also the Twitch, the Patreon, the X. Chuck me a follow over there, or whatever you want to do with that. It's up to you at the end of the day. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later, and have a good one all.